This is Talk 650.
This is Talk 650.
Powered by CBS Radio.
Dr. Ronald Trowbridge is in the studio with us. He teaches English composition at Lone Star College, but more importantly served as one of, former Chief of Staff to the Supreme Court Chief Justice Warren Burger, and as Director of the Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs at the United States Information Agency, directed the Fulbright program there. Very, very brilliant man. We love having him on the show because basically, Doctor, you look at all of these issues through the filter of the U.S. Constitution, and at the end of the day, when it comes to decide these issues, that's the standard we have to go by.
See, what the judge yesterday, Bolton, said was she is in fact referring to the Constitution, and the article there that says that the federal government shall be in charge of immigration. That's a constitutional position. She even questioned racial profiling somewhat. Well, that's the 14th Amendment and the Equal Protection Clause. So you see, she's using those two provisions within the Constitution to make her point, and that's what I look at. Is it's not what do you think about it? Question is, what does the book say about it?
Well, let me ask you a question about that.
I'm okay with that. If it's the federal government's responsibility to take care of this, and that's what the Constitution says, I'm fine with that. What are states supposed to do when the federal government fails them and doesn't live up to their responsibilities?
There's nothing they can do because
that doesn't solve the problem.
No, I know that. No, it doesn't solve it at all. Can solve it at all. But they do not have the statutory authority or the constitutional authority to deport anyone. They can't deport anybody. Can't do it.
I was reading her statement. She's a 36-page decision, by the way, by this judge yesterday, and she said, quote, the federal government's ability to enforce its policies and achieve its objectives will be undermined by the state's enforcement of statutes that interfere with federal law. The question is, what can you do when the federal government is failing to fulfill its obligation, and how can you hamper federal efforts when no efforts are being made?
Here's the crux of this thing, and I've written about this, and to the dissatisfaction of an awful lot of people.
You're good at that.
I'm very good at offending people, and you can lie to me and go to heaven. But the problem I have with this law is that on the larger scale, it's ineffective. And I'll tell you why. We know now that ICE deports every year about 400,000 people. It says that's all it can deport, 400,000. Well, there are 11 million here.
Is that because of its capacity? Of its people to do the job?
It's just capacity. They don't have the capacity to do more. Now, what Brewer and folks are asking for is increase your capacity. But you've got to remember that is staggeringly expensive. And let me point out what I'm talking about here. We know now that they're deporting 400,000 people a year, but we know that there are roughly 11 million left, and the Hispanic culture reproduces. I mean, it has more babies than any other ethnic group. So, in a sense, the number continues to grow and grow and grow. And here is my point. If they can deport with capacity only 4% of illegal aliens, imagine what it would take to locate, process, and deport 11 million immigrants. And you would need a government task force the size of, the population of India to find all these people.
That's it. We'll outsource it.
We'll outsource it
to
India.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to need an incredibly huge bureaucracy. That's what you need. Now, that's what Arizona's arguing about. Feds, you're not doing your job. And feds are saying, yeah, you're right, we're only deporting 4%. Let's deport 90%. But the Center for American Progress has calculated that if you want to build a bureaucracy, federal bureaucracy, large enough to deport 11 million, the cost they estimate will be $285 billion. That's the problem. The feds don't do the job. If they were to do it, you would have to make ICE the largest bureaucracy in the universe. And staggeringly expensive.
$285 billion is a lot of money. I think it'd be easier to give the $11 million, $1 million apiece, and pay them to go away.
Yeah, it'd be cheaper, that's for sure.
You just can't. They're just going to be hard to find.
Doctor, what do you think other states' strategies might be to reach a legal outcome, learning from the Arizona experiment?
Well, you can always go on a separate path, but it's an old boy network there within the federal judicial system. And I think what's going to happen is they're all going to sit back. Everybody's going to sit back and see what happens with this case. So I think probably, I'm guessing here, but I don't think other states are going to fool with this. For one thing, it's expensive. I don't think they're going to fool with this until they see how this case in Arizona has been resolved, which is why I think for another year and a half, everything is probably going to be dead.
Yeah.
Just dead.
Even though the sheriff down there was going to do a sweep today anyway.
But it's just they can't deport anybody. You've got to take them to ICE, and ICE might say, I'm sorry, we don't have room today. I mean, we're looking for criminals, and we're not going to take some fellow off the street who's got wife and kids here and this sort of thing. We've got more important illegal immigrants to look at. And you see, that's ICE's position. We focus on the hardcore criminals, and that's all we have time to do.
Yeah, the bigger offenders, the more dangerous
and
ones.
We don't have time to go after mom and pop stores.
You know, there's a story of a couple of ranches down along the Texas-Mexico border now that have been overrun by some of these drug cartel gang members. And basically what you have is invasion of the United States by a foreign entity.
Let me throw out a heresy here so I can lose absolutely all of your audience. If you can't find them, 11 million, if you can't find $285 billion to find them, and you're irritated as hell that these illegal immigrants have broken the law with impunity, that they're going to hospitals and you and I are paying for it, that they're getting education and you and I are paying for it, and you're saying they do not carry the load, they're sponging things, what are we going to do about it?
Yeah.
Would you, by that logic, give them a pathway to citizenship, fine them, and put them on the tax rolls, arguing that half a loaf is better than no loaf?
There you go.
Think about the logic of that. Now, that really irritates folks.
It does.
It does, because we do it every 20 years. We have some sort of amnesty program that comes along that grants them citizenship, and we don't ever do anything to solve the problem from continuing to happen.
Well, the interesting thing about this is, and I think you're onto something right there, the solution to this issue is going to be not political, it's going to be economic.
Yes. That's what it is now.
Economic solution.
That's what it is now.
And if you can demonstrate that it either costs less or will generate more revenue to do that, that's where it'll go.
But go to taxpayers now and say, you're right. These people are sponging. They're using health care. They're using education. They're using...
And whose fault is
money
that?
For jails.
You know?
Right. We got to stop this now. By the way, here's the price: $285 billion. Oh well, pay it. You know. Well,
you're going to pay it out of your pocket.
Yeah. Well, and you're going to pay for this, by the way.
It looks like we have a call from Michael in the Galleria with a counterpoint to what we've been talking about. And before we go to break, Michael, jump on and good morning. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, I would like to address, I heard coming into work a couple of comments from your guests, and, you know, everything, it can be done. I mean, you know, attitude like that, we would have never won World War II. You're saying it cost $285 billion to do so. How much would our health care be reduced if we got all the illegal aliens out of here? First of all, you have to secure the border and make sure they can't keep coming back across. You might stop deporting the same 400,000 people. I don't see his point. And the second thing he said, what can you do? That we can't do anything if the federal government doesn't do its job. I would have to disagree and say the 10th and 11th Amendments to the Constitution, the states' rights would definitely kick in because states have a sovereign right to their own existence.
No.
There we
Yes,
go.
they do.
have the
Yes,
10th.
yes, yes, they do.
No, they don't. Now, I want you to read this book. I'm going to send you a free copy. The 10th Amendment, you have the right, the states have a right on the 10th Amendment.
Yeah.
If a right is not otherwise enumerated, you have the enumeration in Section 8 of Article 1. And that's what the judge cited yesterday.
Yeah.
The 10th Amendment is something that states obviously want to defend, and I do too, particularly on the insurance case with the individual mandate.
Yeah.
On the other hand, you have an enumerated power of the government to control, the federal government to control immigration.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. And that's what the judge cited yesterday.
I did like Michael's point, though, on what's the cost difference in what we'll save versus what we have to spend.
That is a valid point. And that was your point, Brent. Look at the economics. So it's $285 billion. On the other hand, what are you spending on the $11 million? I don't know, but there needs to be a really hard, extensive economic analysis of that.
Yeah. Hey, Michael, thanks for the phone call. We appreciate the input. Dr. Trowbridge, always a pleasure to have you on the program.
Well, whenever you want me to alienate your audience, anytime.
We'll take you up on that.
All right.
Coming up next, we'll have Kelly from our sister station, Hot Hits 95.7 FM, with her hot picks for the weekend on Talk 650, powered by CBS.